Were you getting to know him? What were you doing? I decided to move all of my aggressive fish from the 75 up here down to this 35. And it's the reason the water looks kind of dirty is because I threw some of the live food, mosquito larvae, and whatever's growing outside. I threw it in here so they could have something to eat. The rainbows aren't aggressive, but they seem to hold their own with these Congo tetras. But the Congo tetras, they're just very, very aggressive. So I've decided to turn these two tubs into dirted tanks. I said I wouldn't do this before because I usually regret it after a couple years when you have to break it down. But long term, it's the easiest way to get fertilizer to your plants that are planted. Some good fertilizer in the roots. But the way I'm going to do this is I'm going to drain these and then put dirt in it and then cap it with some pea gravel. Now the issue is I don't want to waste, this is 30 something gallons of water per tub. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to water change these two 55s with the Ranchu and use a pump and a hose to pump water from here all the way across the room. Had this pump that I got from Lowe's, and also I got this 20-foot corrugated rubber hosing. This is about 20 bucks here. So hopefully I got enough hose for this. Okay, anyway, I was trying to screw this on. Basically, this hosing, you can kind of twist it onto the threading of this air pump. As I was doing that, she came in between my legs and wanted attentions. This is a dog we're watching for my friend. But anyway, so this is 20 foot of hose. It should reach all the way over there, and we can pump these across the room. Now I removed the sponge filters. So there's one of them over there that was in this one, and then I moved two into here. And I want to keep any beneficial bacteria in there alive, so I'm keeping it wet and running. And we're gonna go ahead and get started on the pumping. So we got it pumping. And some slack. Hopefully the dog doesn't trip over it. Good girl. Okay. And it's going really fast. So this is I think it was the biggest pump I saw at Lowe's in the gardening section. But that ranch is doing okay with this crazy flow. So I'll need to keep an eye on this, make sure the water level doesn't get too low, because then if the pump runs dry, it could damage the pump. So I got to keep an eye on that. So once it gets to a certain level, I'll start scooping water out, and then I'll also move the pump to this one right here next to it. So this pump drains crazy fast. It drained this first one in like less than 5 minutes. It got the water all the way down to here. So that's like 30 gallons, maybe a little bit less than 30 gallons. It's crazy. So I was able to drain the rest of them using the siphon bucket method. It's kind of tricky, but I just have basically just like a little puddle in there. So that's probably as good as it's gonna get. I could take like a paper towel or just like a regular towel and get the rest of it, but I don't think that's necessary. This is the dirt I'm gonna use for the dirted tub. I'm just making sure when I get this that it's organic. So the tub has dirt in it now. I put in just like about half an inch. Less is more. It's a little bit more than I wanted to, but it was kind of all dumped in quickly and I didn't really measure it as I went. I'm gonna go ahead and get some pea gravel to go ahead and cap it. And here's the pea gravel. And again, you can get this from Lowe's or Home Depot. It's very affordable and a cheap alternative to aquarium gravel, because aquarium gravel is really, in my opinion, expensive for what it is. You can also get them from people selling tanks on Craigslist and stuff like that. That's probably the best way to get aquarium gravel. So one of the tubs is ready. So I covered it with just a thin layer of gravel. It's at about an inch. So I ran out of gravel, so I'm gonna have to go back to the store. So I can't do this one today, but I can go ahead and fill this one up. I also need to work on this algae. All right, got the python out, the tub, and I know there's been a million aquarium videos about how to do this. I just can't remember any of them off the top of my head. But basically, I took a paper towel so that when the water splashes down, it's not uprooting any of the soil, so the soil will stay under the rocks. We'll see how it goes. I might try a grocery bag if this doesn't work. So far, so good. So it looks like the paper towels worked as I wanted it to. I mean, I probably did see this in another video. I just can't remember. Another thing I wanted to do is I wanted to go ahead and retire these little hang-on back filters. So basically, I'm going to take everything out, throw it in the sun for a day, and then put it in storage. It's harder to dry out in the basement. And I don't really need them because I got the air line coming from the loop. So the air line is running this Matten filter. It's basically just a sponge. And you can see it's blowing a lot of bubbles out there, which is creating flow. And that should be plenty of filtration for anything that I'm going to want in this 10 gallon. I'm not going to do anything too crazy. It's probably going to be mostly planted, honestly. Basically, I took these plants from the 55 that were floating, some of them, and I tossed them in here. And I was able to plant them with these tongs. These are like for aquascaping. I got it at an auction a long time ago. One of those aquarium clubs. But yeah, they're staying down pretty well. It's going to look a lot better once this water clears up. This is more for growing and not really like viewing plants. I'm also working on getting the algae off with this. Finally got most of the algae off, just a few spots that were hard to get. So hopefully these plants get growing like crazy. This is water sprite, by the way. I got tons of it. It's a really great plant that you can float or plant. So I'm hoping they kind of take over and just smother the algae that's in here. Also, this tub was dry for 24 hours, so like some of the algae was probably not doing too hot anyway. So this should clear up in a couple of days. It's cloudy because of not the dirt, but the gravel. You're supposed to kind of rinse it before you throw it in here, so it's not as dusty on the first day, but it settles out and it's fine eventually. And then the sponge filters in the back do some work too. Okay, so it's been about 2 weeks and this looks like tea water. Not good, and not great for plants either. I'm gonna do a quick water change so you get a better view from right there. I'm gonna do a quick water change. I'm gonna use the siphon method. I can't use the siphon and bucket method is what I meant to say. So I can't use pumps because the plants will get sucked up and get tore up. And I don't like scooping the water out 1 gallon at a time because it'll get kind of messy and I'd have to climb on this every time. So I think I'll just create a siphon and then put some buckets under it and move some water that way. Finally got the pea gravel. For that, this was $5 and you get a whole bunch. So I think it's a pretty good investment for how long it's going to be in there. These plants are actually doing very well. And especially this one right here, you can see how the leaves are skinnier on that plant. It's because it's already converted to underwater leaves and it looks relatively healthy. I probably want to bury that root. So there's some roots that are standing up and some random Java moss and subwasser tang right there. So overall, really happy about the substrate I use in this tank, and I want to put some fish in it soon. So I got about 40% of the water drained into these 4 buckets. I'm gonna go ahead and dump those in the sink. I'm also gonna kind of utilize this water that's not doing anything for me right now and siphon it from this tub to this tub. So it's a little dirty, and so I'm rinsing it in this clean water. There's like stuff all over my hands before I put it in the tank. So hopefully it doesn't get cloudy like this one. Not even cloudy, just dirty. Just filling this one up. So this is what happens when you don't put a paper towel on. You get dirt everywhere. So please don't make the same mistakes I did. So looking here, the 40% water change didn't do too much. So I think I just gotta keep changing water until it clears. It's been a while since I've set up one of these tanks before. This one that I rinsed the gravel out before I put it in, it looks a lot better. I did move the slide over so they can get equal lighting. But I'm gonna keep an eye on it in the next couple days and see if it turns tea color. This is a mosquito larva. Oh, almost got him. Oh. See that fish right there making a poop? That's how you make your fish grow fast. Keep them pooping, keep the water super immaculately clean, and they will grow fast. It's also important to feed them high quality foods, but just keep them pooping a lot. I feed this tank as much as I can. Whenever I see this tank, I feed it. Not a whole lot, but a good amount. Also, their poop feeds plants. Got the wood right here, and it's finally sunk. It took like 2 months, but this piece of wood finally sunk. So that means I can plant stuff on it. I'm gonna put an anubias. Actually, let's roll over here. This anubias, I think eventually it would have attached this sponge, but that's a nice piece of wood. This is a nice anubias that I haven't had attached to anything. I've never recorded myself doing this first, so I'll give it a shot. Super glue gel. Lowe's or Home Depot, kind of twist it to get it open. Got your plant that you dried the roots as much as you can. Glue the roots, not the ribosome. And we're going to do it like this. Now, since the wood is wet, I'm going to use a little bit more than I usually do. For dry surfaces, you need less super glue gel. I want to use plenty because this would look really good. And I do have another anubias plant that has already been glued. Let's put it in. Oh, great success. Great success. Oh, yes. I was nervous, but it worked. I have super glue on my fingers, but I'm okay with it. I'll rinse it off in the dirty tanks. Just using Dawn dish soap. I'll rinse it all out outside. So it's been 5 days and it got a little dirty, but still not as bad as this one was. So rinsing the gravel and stuff really helps a lot. Also, been using the trash can. I cleaned it with baking soda and dish soap outside. And I've been using it for water changes. I got a pump. Let's pump into that drain over there. And I can also siphon. The reason I didn't use like the bucket method or just directly siphoning into there is because it's kind of hard with that top. And I don't want to mess up the plants and the dirt that's in here already. But yeah, I use this. And just emptying 1 gallon at a time, plus the siphon on this tank, and I was able to drain like most of it in like 3 minutes. It was crazy. I will definitely make a how-to video on how to do that at some point because it really saves a lot of time when water changing. So it's looking a lot better. I think it's ready for plants. Everything's clear. Those dark spaces, I added some black aquarium gravel to cover up some exposed dirt, but it's looking very good. I think this was the second water change, almost 90%. And then this one, I kind of made a mess, which is why, dirt tanks turns a lot of people off. But once you get the plants growing in it, that happens less and less. And then I've noticed some of the plants are starting to look good that I planted. Most of them got uprooted because of the dirty water, but these are looking pretty good. I want to get some dwarf sage going in here and maybe add another light, but not sure if that'll be too much, but we'll see. Also, since I made the mess, I'm siphoning from this clean tank while filling up with the python, which makes no sense, but I'm not trying to uproot everything. This is working right now, gently flowing into the sponge filter back there to make things easier.